So, hello everyone, and thank you for taking part at today's webinar. The purpose of today's webinar is to present briefly what was done by Judo Canada, what tools were developed by Judo Canada over the last months. Again, the idea is just to present briefly what was done. Today's webinar is going to be on the long-term development posture, on the safe warmer posture, on the Q grading syllabus, on the Nagewaza and Newaza postures, on a new tool, which is a grading exam tool, on the new after-school program guide, and lately we'll finish with the Intro to Judo booklet that some of you already received. Just some reminder before we start, this webinar will be recorded and will be available in Dailymotion on the Judo Canada channel. By default, all participants will be muted at the start. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself. During the presentation, we present one subject at a time, and after each subject, we'll do a Q&A session where you can ask a question if you have and if you need. Presentation will be, this presentation that you see right now on your screen will be available on the Judo Canada website. It should be available during the week. So that you know, during this presentation, we present different documents, but also posters. Each club affiliated to Judo Canada will receive one poster, and it will be sent through the first email of the season. If you wish to have more, because you have more judo clubs or anything, don't hesitate to contact us. You can contact Emily Clauderoux. You will see her email that's right down there. Again, because you will receive this poster through mail, try to check via Tracky that your club address is correct. Finally, not finally, but during the presentation, you will see this kind of logo. Most of the time, it will be on the right-hand side of the screen. When you click on it, when you download the presentation, it's a link that will put you directly to the document that you wish to have, and it's on the Judo Canada website. And finally, all the information and documents that we're going to talk about today are available on Judo Canada website. So, first subject is the long-term development postures. So this posture, and mainly the long-term development model, purpose was to present the entire spectrum of what judo is in Canada, and specifically specific days, the phase of development for the high performance, and also different ages. Also, as you can see directly a bit on your screen, there is divided by age categories, but also what we expect and what is recommended by Judo Canada for the minimum weeks of training, the fundamental skills to acquire, the number of judo training per week, and all those kind of information. The old version created a lot of confusion. So that's why when we worked on this one, we tried to have a better display of where an athlete should be based on his age and his level. This is possible through a lot of data that we received throughout the years, and was possible to incorporate it in this new long-term development model. As you will learn from this long-term development model, the athlete development matrix is now only part of this long-term development model. In the previous version, most of it was based on the athlete development matrix, as we understood it in 2005. Now, after gaining a lot of experience, but also a lot of data, we developed this new model all around others categories. And finally, this model is not anymore only on athletic development of high performance. It's also the entire system of judo in Canada, how the organization develop in terms of safety, in terms of inclusion, but also on the Paralympic movement, indigenous aspect. So there are all sets of new layers that are now developed through this new model. Just admitting new people. Here we go. And finally, there will be a specific webinar on this long-term development model that will be hosted by Andre Sadej. We don't have the date yet, but it should be in the coming months. So if you have specific question, it will be specifically presented during this webinar. Aside from this, if you have other questions right now that you need to ask, feel free to ask. Like I mentioned, all the subject that we're going to talk about today, we'll spend 1 minute or 2 minutes just after I did my presentation, quick presentation on the subject. If you have questions on the matter, don't hesitate to ask. I don't know if anyone has a question right now. If not, I can go to the next subject. Again, a Q&A question will be possible at the end of the session. Yes, Sarah.
Question about that poster. Is there anything about kata?
It's included in the Fit for Life. But if specific kata, it's as you can see on Fit for Life, it also includes so judges, veterans, but also kata competition.
Okay, thank you. It's just a little hard to read.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be bigger once you receive the poster, but for sure this presentation is difficult. But for sure, that's what I mentioned, that it's not only high performance, but also high performance for all aspects of judo. We see the entire layers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If you don't have any question, I will go to the next subject. But again, feel free to ask any question at any moment. So next subject will be the safe warm-up postures. So this postures was inspired by the Judo Canada medical team that wanted to find a way to reduce the number of injuries commonly seen in judo. So we made some research and we found that many sports also had the same idea, and specifically the FIFA organization, who intended also the same concept. So they went and they produced some data, and based on the data, they found out that by implementing a specific protocol, the number of injuries drastically reduced. So after coming with this information, we also tried to build our own set of protocols specific to judo. Based on this, we present on this poster the principal phases to consider when you're planning a warm-up. The first phase being the raise of the body temperature, how to raise the heart rate, the blood flow. This is possible by different type of exercise, and the first type of exercise being the cardiovascular activation. The second phase being how to mobilize and also increase the movement of joints, of everything. And this is possible through exercise or joint activation. The third phase, and being the last phase, is how to progressively increase the intensity of the activity before getting really into the practice. So this goes first by exercising and activating the core. The second part being the muscular activation, then working on agility, balance, and coordination. And finally, which is really important, is introducing specific judo exercise at the end. And what we found, and what is the specificity of such safe warm-up posture, is to really follow the orders of these categories outlined in those phases. So phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, but also phase 1. So first exercise, cardio activation. Second, after is joint activation. Afterwards, core activation. This order, follow the order that we have here. Otherwise, that will lead eventually to easily get injured. So that's really what came out of our research and all the data gathered mainly from the FIFA, that by following a specific protocol for warm-up, and here you can see an athlete taking 20 minutes for warm-up, you can avoid as max as possible injuries. All the exercises that are presented here in the 6 different categories are all exercises that have been identified to help prevent specific judo injuries. And also this applies mainly to older judoka. I mean, it's not for kids that try judo or at a younger age, for 5, 6 years old. It's not really, it's more for athletes that are getting more in the high performance, but also older athletes. They really need to get warmed up and to avoid injuries. I don't know if you have any question on this subject. No, okay, I will go to the next one. So the Q grading syllabus. So recently we produced a new grading syllabus with some changes compared to older version. And the main changes are really on the requirements that you need to have when you pass each full grade. And those main requirements are on newaza, transition skills, but also terminology. So what really changed for those techniques? We, of course, based the requirements on what was already produced on the Konokan, but we mainly included in the Q syllabus techniques that are allowed during competition. All those other techniques that, of course, are possible in judo will be, but not allowed in competition, will be mainly addressed at the Dan level. So that's why we went through a reassessment and rearrangement of what requirements were needed per belt. What we introduced also, compared to the previous version, is the fast track versus standard track grade promotion. That's something that's already informal, but we tried it to make it formal in this Q syllabus. We all know that younger athletes that go through the competitor track will and should pass grade more quicker than others, because they spend more time learning techniques, spend more time in competition, and spend more time also learning the way of judo. Oops, I don't know if you have question on the Q grade syllabus. Okay, very good. I will go on this next subject. I have a question that I have from Sandra. Will this poster be given out to clubs? Again, clubs that are affiliated with Judo Canada should receive in the coming weeks all these posters. They will all receive one poster. If you need more poster, then you should send an email to Émilie Claude Leroux, which will provide you with more poster if needed. So the next subject, the Nagewaza. I don't know if someone wants to say something.
Just out of curiosity, then, I'm sure it's going to elaborate on this. And I've been using a system for grading for 40 or 50, 40 years, anyhow, the same system. So they still can't go for their Shodan until they're 16, then, right?
They still, sorry, can go for?
Can't go for Shodan until 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just hoping, I don't know. EQ requires a lot of maturity as well. Brown belt.
Yes.
So I'm hoping this reflects that as well. But anyhow, I'll just leave it at that and carry on. I want to hold you up.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. So now on the Nagewaza and Newaza posters. So both posters were based on the new Q syllabus grading requirements. If we go more on the Nagewaza posters, you will see that for each grade, we have 8 techniques. Again, those techniques are based on the level of complexity. For lower grades, of course, the basic techniques, and also the basic techniques taught at the Kodokan. And the more you go in belt, the more complicated those techniques are, and required also by experience. If we go now by the Newaza requirements, in the low belt, what changes is that we ask for yellow belt and orange belt requirements on only osaikomi, and everything that's strangle and arm lock starting the green belt. That's what we decided at Judo Canada. And also for Newaza, the technique presented here or the main technique. We're not presenting transition or escapes, because they're starting from the technique presented here. I don't know if you have question on this? Again, this is really based on everything that is on the Q syllabus. Very good. If you don't have the question, I will go on the next subject. So the next subject, it's a new grading exam tool, again, based on this Q syllabus. The idea behind this grading tool is to provide all the information required for each belt. So you get directly grading exam sheet, and also it's a tool that will generate automatically a diploma if the student succeeded the exam. So I will give kind of demo, because again, this will be much more easy to understand watching how this tool works. So I will switch directly to Excel. I don't know if everyone see my Excel on your computer. Can someone tell me if you see the Excel?
You bet.
Perfect, thanks. So this is how the exam grading exam form looks like. So it's composed of 3 or 4 different sheets. So the first one is the instructions, where you can have all the information regarding how this tool works. And for information, we are currently working on a tutorial that should be available soon. Then you have the belt requirements. So those are all requirements per half belt. That you also, again, everything is based on the Q syllabus. So techniques required here are the same that the one in the Q syllabus. Then we have the grading exam sheet, where you will write the name of the student, their age, their grading exam, and who the examiner will be. So I will do a quick presentation again. So the first step will be, so this is a tool that generates automatically sheet. So this tool is available at the moment only for PC. It's not working on Apple, on Mac. So we also develop another tool that will present you afterwards. But for the moment, I'm just going to focus on this one. Then after, I'm going to present you the other tool that works on Mac. Oh, I think there's a question. So this, I don't think this tool is not downloadable yet. I don't think it's downloadable yet. We're still waiting for the tutorial to be available. We want to make everything downloadable at the same time. So the tutorial and the exam tool. Or it's already on the Judo Can I say which website, sorry. From Gary. I think Gary mentioned that this was already, but maybe that's the case. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick presentation. The first time is just to allow your computer to enable the contents. Enabling the content makes the macro possible. The second step will be to download your club logo. Why to do so? Because it will be available on each sheet and also on the diploma that you will generate. So I will incorporate the logo. Use the logo, a random logo that I found just today, and which is a bit in the context of today, because we just came back from the Olympic Games. So I thought, why not use an easy logo? So as much as possible, you have to put your logo into this little box, align it with the line so it will be in the middle. Afterwards, you have to insert the name of your the club technical director. So I'll just, for the example of today, I'm just going to put my name. So once you've done that, you have to go to the belt requirements just to see that everything fits you. Again, techniques displayed here are the techniques displayed and mentioned in the Q syllabus. Again, those are the recommended technique from Judo Canada. You can change them if you want, but again, we strongly recommend that you follow those techniques. And afterwards, you go to the grading exam, where you write the date of the exam. Let's say it's today. We're going to say the club, it says it's going to be Tokyo 2020. So the first student is going to be Nicolas. His age is going to be, you can choose between adult or child. It's going to be child. It's going to go for yellow, orange. And let's say it's Patrick, who's going to be the examiner. Second one is going to be Suzanne. Suzanne is an adult, and she goes for green belt. As you can see, based on if the student is a child or an adult, the grading exam is different because for adults, we don't have half belt. So it's only proposition between for full belt. Whereas for kids, again, I'm going to just give another example. If we go with kids, then you have possible half belts. Let's say we say orange green. And let's say there it's going Emily, who's going to examine Suzanne, and it's going to be Pascal, who's going to examine Antoine. Just a second, because I see I have a question. Oh, okay. So as you can see here, is the sheet is ready. Let's say that during today's examination, there are only 3 participants, and now I want to have a I want to be able to download or keep track of today's examination. So I will be able to produce my own PDF. So I click on there, and the PDF should be generated automatically. So as you can see, the PDF has been generated automatically. Can you see that the PDF has been generated? Can someone tell me if it's okay?
Yes.
Perfect, thanks. So as you can see, the PDF has been generated based on today's student and exam. Then after, if we go back here, then afterwards, we're going to ask to create the exam sheet because we have only 3 participants, and it will create, as you can see, you will see down there, it will create automatically a sheet for its participants. So if we go down there, Nicolas, which is passing the yellow orange belt, you can go there. So Nicolas has the yellow orange belt. And here you will find all the information based on the requirements for yellow orange belt required for the exam. So all the Nagewaza, the transitional skills Nagewaza. If we go there, if we go, for example, Nagewaza, which is the first one, Ippon Sonage. If we go into the bell requirements for yellow orange, you will see that the first one is Ippon Sonage, and the last one is Ostogari. So it's exactly the same. And as I mentioned before, if, for example, you decide that in my club, we also do Uchimata in the yellow orange, you write the name, click enter, and you will see directly that it went here also, the Uchimata. But again, I mean, we recommend that you follow the Juno Canada requirements anyway. So now if we start first during the exam, we have the fitness scores. Let's say those scores are written based on what the student produced. Again, this is not going to determine if the student managed the exam or not. It's just so we can collect data and know that at a certain age, we see what the requirement should be. Then after the student takes the exam, and let's say start with Nagewaza. For each techniques, you have the possibility of having 4 scores. The first one, 0. If you have 0, is that the student didn't know the technique. If you have 1, is that the student know the technique, but he did a lot of mistakes. If you have 2, then he knows the techniques and he did some minor mistakes. And 3, so he did the technique perfectly. So let's go with 3. So I'm going to give an example. And of course, because Nicolas always does well, so it's going to be 3 everywhere. Let's say 3 everywhere. Let's go 3 everywhere again here. Let's say, for example, that for some reason, Nicolas didn't know the first technique, so Kuzure Kamishi Ogatame and escapes, so he didn't use the technique, so he gave a 0 here, and I'm gonna just comment here. Just gonna write in comment why I did put a 0. For the rest and for the purpose of the exam, I'm just gonna put 3 everywhere, so that so we can see until the end. And as you can see, as I go down, let's see that for the moment I failed the exam because out of all this question, I only had 57% of the total required. And I think the total required to be able to pass the exam, I think it's 65% or 70%. I don't remember anymore. Anyway, I'm just going to follow up on this one. Up, as you can see, suddenly I passed the exam. can also add here a comment. Reflect overall. Up. And if you can, now I go up. I also have the possibility here to generate automatically the PDF of this exam. Again, so I can have a track of what has been done during this exam for Nicolas. What was his score? Where, if there is any comments on that. So as you can see here, we have everything with the comments, and at the end, he passed. And I forgot maybe to mention that, but all PDF and diplomas that are generated are automatically downloaded and saved in the same file that this exam grading tool exists. So it automatically saves the PDF on your computer. So finally, so Nicolas passed. So what you have to do at last is to be able to generate the diploma. So I click on there, and it generates automatically the diploma based on the green-orange exam for Nicolas.
Can I ask a quick question, Nicholas?
Yes.
It's Brian Kelson. What I wanted to, the quick comments, if you're making comments in there and you print out the, exam for the participant, will they get the quick comments also, or is that on a different sheet?
No, it's not the same.
So it shows up on the 8.5 by 11, the quick comments is right beside it?
Yeah, it's right beside it. As you can see there, it's exactly like this.
Looks just like that. Okay, perfect.
Yes, just like that, yeah. You will get everything directly on the sheet and directly on one sheet all the time.
Okay, nice.
And so directly, so you'll see that we generated automatically the diploma for Nicolas for his yellow-orange belt at the date of the exam, which is today. And we have directly on the diploma the logo of the club. And we have the name of the club director where you can sign it directly. So the idea behind this tool is just in a way to facilitate the exam tool, having directly based on who passes the exam, what is the age, and what is the grade passed, that everything is generated automatically, that you don't have to look which belt is required, but everything. So that was the idea behind it, and to make it in a way more simple and more user-friendly. That being said, like I mentioned in the beginning, for the moment, it is only working on PC. Unfortunately, it's not working on Mac. So we also developed another exam tool for Mac, which is, I would say, less sexy because it's not automatical and it doesn't generate everything the same way, but we have the same ID. So again, this is the other tool. As you can see, we have the logo of the club. We can insert the logo of the club here. It has to fit the little box. If it's not in the box, it will not show. So we also have the belt requirements here. We have the grading exam. But as you can see, you don't have the red button here anymore, because the red button means that it's generated through macro, which is not possible for Macintosh computers. But I mean, putting in here the name again, you just have to print it normally as you will do on an Excel file. It's just that, okay, it's a step further that you have to do. Then everything is not generated automatically, but you will have all the sheets for each belt. So for kids, each half belt, you can have them already there. And for adults, all the same. So yellow, it's exactly the same as before. The only difference is just you don't have a tool that you can push on the bottom that you can push on and generate it automatically. And what you need to do, for example, if you have two people that are taking two or more people that are taking the blue adult exam, you just have to copy this sheet. So duplicate the same sheet, so create a copy and just put it next to it. So let's do the blue here. And just copy it. And then we'll just duplicate. As you can see, I have the blue one, first one, and the blue for the second one. So you can duplicate as much as you want. Well, yeah, that's the solution that we found today for Mac. In the long term, what we intend to do is to be able to have this tool being functional on Mac, PC, but also tablet, iPad, all those kind of things. For the moment, it's only working on computer, only working on PC, only working on Mac with this version. But what we have to do, what we intend to do in the future is everything combined in one, so it could be working on PC as well as Mac, but as well as at tablet. So that's the idea that we have. But still in the process of implementing, and also, I mean, it's the first version, so in the end, it can get better.
Are you able to add a provincial logo onto this as well?
Yes. You mean more than the club logo?
Yes. So you have the Judo Canada one, you have the club, and the provincial one would be nice as well, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I just can give an example, but you'll just have to add it here. Like I can say this one here that goes there, small. And if I go another one, just a good question, because I'm just trying it live with you. So I don't know if it's working, but normally it should be working. If let's say, I had some fun, just added this one, just to see if there is a logo also working. Normally it should also work. So it should be side by side. So if I put it there, normally it should be on this one. Yes, as you can see, it's there. But it's a bit cut here but it's possible. It's possible to have it both on the sheet.
Is it possible to put a provincial logo beside the Judo Canada logo?
You mean for the diploma, you mean?
Yeah, or yes, or because again, if we're thinking from the provincial perspective, right, it would be Judo Canada, province, and then club.
Okay.
Instead of the club putting in the provincial one, can just again, it's just a question.
For the moment, it wasn't meant for that, but it can be possible. It can be possible. You mean that if we have like Judo Canada here, below we have the province, and below we have the club, something like that? You want?
Yes.
Yeah, it can be possible.
Okay.
It can be possible for sure.
Nicholas, for the solid colored belts, when you generate the testing sheet, I think you had one on the for a green belt before on the previous example.
Yes.
So when you go to that green belt, does it have the orange green and the green techniques all together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the green belt is a combination of 2-half belt.
But then on the belt requirements page, do you have to keep them separate though?
Yes. Yes, because I did everything, because I could have done one belt requirements for kids and one belt requirements for adults, but I can't combine it. As you can see here, for Nagewaza, the total of required techniques is bigger than for kids. You see, smaller because you will not exceed a certain amount of techniques.
But if you did a kid's green belt, would it show up with all 8 of them,
I will show you directly there if I go on green, for example. So I will change green this one. So once I go there, it generated everything. So it deletes all the previous shit and it generates everything anew. But by generating everything anew, also it deletes what has been done to Nicolas. So that's what you need to keep in mind. But if you can see Suzanne, so Suzanne, that's the green for adults, and Antoine is the green for kids.
But then for the kids, they may be going from orange to green, so then they'd miss the green orange green techniques.
Yeah, but then you just use the adult one. What I meant by adult is avoiding half belt. That's what I meant. Maybe more clear if I see it like this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So are you doing like a junior level and a senior level when it comes to belts?
No, it was more to, like Gary mentioned, just to keep in mind that there is half belt for kids, for younger.
Yes.
And when you go,
Yes.
when you don't pass half belt anymore, being a kid or not, when you decide you are from orange and you want to go to green, then directly you think of adults to avoid half belt.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Nicolas,
Yes.
is this ever going to be a dynamic web-based platform that all results eventually go to Judo Canada, or is this going to be continuously intended for club use only?
For the moment, it's for club use only. So you'll be able to download from the Judo Canada website this tool. And once you have it, then you will be able to do it for your club. But what we intend, and that's a good question, because that's the intention of the first part of the exam, which is fitness course. Because in the end, what we want to build is a database, knowing, okay, for kids that are passing the orange, yellow-orange belt and that are, I don't know, 8 years old, 9 years old, this is to be, we have like a 200 example of burpees. It's between, I don't know, 10 and 20. And the medium should be 15. So we decide, okay, 15. Once you are more than 15, then you're good, or something like that. So that's why we want to collect data as much as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So this was again the example for the grading exam. Like I mentioned, I think it should be the coming weeks on the Judo Canada website, available for download. And that's also why there isn't any link here. We didn't put it right away because, like I mentioned, we first want to finish the tutorial, so it will be easier. Because again, I did the presentation, it went fast. There is surely a sheet with the instruction at the beginning, but the first time you use it, it's going to be a bit. I mean, you need to get used to it. But afterwards, I mean, you can use the same sheet again and again, because you can download it, have a version, then after every time, save a specific version for a specific exam. Anyway, I don't know if you have further question on this subject.
Well,
That's great, Nicholas.
one
sorry.
question. With the adult one, do you still get the little raccoon, or is it non-character?
For you, Iwan, you can have the specific. No, there is. I didn't show it, but there's a question. I forgot to mention it. But this is the kids diploma. So where do we have the Judo Canada mascot? But for adults, it's a more soft one.
Okay.
So best assured, for your brown belt, Iwan, you will have you can choose.
Okay, well, I'll be going backwards to get my brown belt, but maybe for my son then.
yeah, no, good question. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I forgot to mention it, but for sure, for adults, we have specific, as you mentioned, as you can see here. I'm just going to give you an example quickly because Suzanne is adult. Just so we don't have confusion, and you sleep well tonight, Iwan.
That's important, Nicholas, because we will have some of the younger teenagers that may be going for a solid colored belt, and we're not going to give them half belts. And so they're still kids, right?
Yeah, but you can, I mean, you can play with it. Meaning that if you want to have if they want to have the kids diploma, you can do it. Because again,
but if you
it's
look,
doable.
you don't have a kid's diploma on an adult screen, though.
No, but you can easily do 2 times. If we take the example for Suzanne, who's, I don't know, 10 years old, she's passing the green belt, but she's going from orange to green belt. So this is what the exam that you give her. Okay, so the full exam for green belt, but on side you do a second sheet for Suzanne, but kids, and you won't just only fill just the things to be sure she has it. Then after you can print it easily.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I think it should be okay. Up. They should be okay after there's those skills. Here we go. So I pass up, we go upstairs, so up, upper the page, adult. There we go. There you go. So it's more classic. Instead of the Judo Canada mascot behind, we have the Judo Canada logo behind, and that's it. Also the font is a bit different, but anyway, that's it. Here we go. So I don't know if you have any question on this grading exam tool. Perfect. Okay, anyway, so next one will be the after school program guide. So the idea behind this guide was to introduce judo in the school environment. Again, that's something that is already done, but not common. So the idea was really to provide all the necessary information to implement such program. Again, when speaking about it, it seems easy, but when you need to implement it and present it in front of a school board, that's another. That's really another story. So that's why in this guide we try to have all the necessary information, all the various factors needed to be able to present a well-done project. So those various factors would be finance, revenue, program logistics, leadership and training, quality planning, also publicity, promotion. I mean, all the ingredients to be able to be as successful as possible when implementing such a judo program in any school. So I can, as I mentioned, you really, in this guide, you will find all the steps to follow and to be able to be really ready and keep in mind what is to be expected from a board of school. The next one is also important. This guide intention is not to it's just to present the test, how to implement and how to be able to have a program in the judo school. It's not it doesn't present what should be the content of a judo course once you've already implemented yourself in schools. I mean, that's the that will be at the experience from the experience of the judo teachers, from the experience that they gain over the years, from the experience they gain from teaching, the experience that they gain from this NCCP. That is really specified and discretionary from the judo teacher to be able to make his own judo program once it's accepted. I don't know if you have any question on this. Okay, just looking quickly what has been done in chat, sorry. Up. Anyway, I don't know if you don't have any question, I will go on this subject. Here we go. So the next subject is the Intro to Judo booklet. I think some of you have already received this Intro to Judo booklet. We've sent to a sample to every club that were affiliated last season. So all of them received one sample, but also an order form to be able to order more if you want. So just to know, just that you know, the 25 first exam orders are free. The orders over 25 will be $5 each. If you need information on this matter, just again send an email to me, Leroux. Or email is in the beginning of the presentation. So what the idea was behind this Intro to Judo booklet was really to present what judo is for new practitioners. So what is judo? What is judo in Canada? What is the history of judo in Canada? What is needed when you judo? What are the belt requirements for the full belts, for the orange belt, for the yellow belt, orange belt? What is the basic judo terminology? There are also there are also little games with kids. So anyway, that's really a tool that prepared for clubs to promote judo, against for new practitioners, for kids. That was the idea behind it. Do you have any question on the matter?
I've got a question.
Yes.
Are these characters licensed by Judo Canada, or not licensed, but like copyrighted or anything like that? Like, for instance, could we use them in material that we prepare?
Yes, maybe just send us an email first to be sure what you're going to use them for, but you can be used for, you can use them. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. You can find on the Judo Canada website, you find all the information regarding each of the mascots. And we attributed one mascot per province, not per province, but we group for each province mascot. So mascot is a bit, we have 7 mascots. It's a bit, they're all spread out of Canada.
Quick question. So this is being introduced this season. Is it going to be something that's obviously there from season to season? And do you guys have like a time limit, like in 4 years from now, we update the program, or have you thought that far ahead?
No, for the moment, you mean the booklet, you mean?
Yeah, the booklet, yes.
Yeah, no, again, it's a tool that we just created. If it's working fine, that for sure we're gonna produce more and more, but that's the idea. I mean, the idea, everything, like the Q syllabus, we worked on the Judo Canada mascot, so we want to do everything around him. And we're currently working also on a quick movie, a little movie around those mascots on how to present judo. So one mascot is flying to every provinces in Canada and finding his friends, and also to promote judo in Canada. So we really want to work around those mascots. And again, if it works, we surely want to continue working on those.
Awesome.
So, you know, you also said that we can change the grading if we'd like add something here and there anyhow. I'm sorry that I don't have the booklet in front of me, but I'm looking at the cover and I don't see any stripe belts. In that booklet, are the gradings put forth with just standard without stripe belts then?
Yeah, the standard belts, yeah.
And would that be the same grading for adults then as well then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never used the stripe system anyhow, so but that's a positive anyhow from there then. Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it simple, meaning that we don't have a half belt. We just wanted to have, otherwise there would be too many mascots. We just basically have one mascot per belt, otherwise it would be a lot of work.
Yeah, I had the old YMCA grading from 1970 or something like that anyhow.
Okay.
And I did change 1 or 2 things because ukigoshi and ogoshi are too similar.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyway, that's it. I don't know if you have questions on this subject. I will go to the next if I remember.
I have one question, and this is like from a provincial office type of. Would Judo Canada be okay for a request to see what clubs actually have ordered and haven't ordered? And when do you think that if I did ask that question, those details would be available? Like if I asked in October, just again, we're thinking about promotion of it. And I want to make sure that the clubs are aware of it. And then, you know, if they're actually ordering or not ordering.
Again, it was sent to all the clubs that were affiliated to Judo Canada last year. So normally all clubs affiliated should have received it. So that's the first point. The second point, they have, I mean, the address.
Order.
No. Every club should have received one, even if they didn't order anything. So by promotion, we sent an example to every club affiliated that was affiliated last season. So every club affiliated to Judo Canada should have received one sample. That's the first point. Second point is if they were affiliated last year and didn't receive anything, the one of the problems could be that the address that they filled in on Tracky is wrong. So because to be able to send them, we use the address filled on Tracky. So that's also a point that should be, if they didn't receive anything, they should send an email to Emily Claude Leroux.
And then for them to receive the 25, they actually have to then contact Judo Canada and then order the 25. They don't come
Yes.
out, 25 don't come automatically, only if they contact and order.
Yes, because the first mailing, was in the first mailing was the intro to judo sample, one sample, but there was also an order form. And the order form, if they want to have more, so they can send it to Judo Canada. If they want 20, so the 20 are free. If they want 25, 25 are free. If they want 30, so the 21st are free, and the 5 others are at the expense of $5 each.
Perfect. And then my question is, as a provincial PSO, can I get a list to see which clubs did or did not engage into the program of ordering the 25 or more for their clubs?
You mean the clubs that are affiliated out of Judo Canada, the one
Yeah.
that
So again, like if I have 30 clubs and only 15 ordered them, I would like to have that information so I could talk to the 15 clubs and say, why didn't you order them? Do you not know? Do you think this is not good for your program? Was there miscommunication? But basically to follow up and then understand why they might not order it, compared to, you know what, leaving it as a random, you know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. It's that next step of like, because it is a great product. I think it's something that's very useful, but I think it's also finding out like which clubs are actually going to use them, and then if ones aren't using them, why they're not using them, and what the barriers are.
Yes, I think it's a good point you mentioned, Ewan. I think we're going to send this to every provincial association, judo association, so that every provincial association has the idea of, based like you mentioned, on 30 out of 30 who really engage into order more.
Yes.
So that's a good idea of, okay, I don't know if your province out of 30 clubs ordered more, perfect. Let's say for an example, another province out of 50 club, only 5 orders. So that can explain many things. So yeah, for sure. I think it's something that we're gonna prepare and send to every club, like you mentioned, around the months of October, mid-October, so that they receive everything, just to and maybe do it mid-October by the end of the year, beginning of the year, so that every provinces know where they stand, and if they are done in a way everything they could in a way just to use the tool that were at their disposal.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ewan.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, sorry, you sent it to clubs who were registered for the 2020-2021?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know about other provinces, but definitely in Ontario, a lot of our clubs didn't register because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So is there an opportunity for them to get this material?
Yes, they just have to send an email to Emily Claude Leroux.
Okay. Perfect,
Even
thanks.
even all the clubs that were not registered for any reason, that were registered that didn't receive it, that they weren't registered last year season, everyone who didn't receive this should, if they want it, should send an email to Emily Claude Leroux.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome. I don't know if anyone else has any question on the subject.
Is it possible to post Emily's email in the chat?
Yes, I'm just going to send it to you right now. Just give me a second. Oops. I'm just going to do it the easy way. Hopla. You go. I think normally everyone should have received the email from Emily. So I'm just looking at the chat if there were any other questions.
Fine, good answer. Thanks, Donovan.
Perfect. I don't know if anyone has other questions. Oops, I'm just gonna go next. The questions.
Sorry, question.
Yes.
Will we be getting a copy of your slide presentation here as well?
Yes, it will be on the Judo Canada website during this week. I will send everything. This presentation will be on the Judo Canada website, as well as the link to see the recording of this webinar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have an ETA on when the grading Excel spreadsheet will be available?
It should be in the month of September.
Perfect, thank you.
We will do communication. Judo Canada will send a communication once this is available. Just before I forget, the upcoming webinars. So the first one will be on the 25th of September. There will be a concussion protocol, the webinar on the concussion protocol that was developed, that was already in place, but we developed 2 specific posters for club. And it will be presented by Tiffany Hunting, who's the head physiotherapist of Judo Canada. So that will be the upcoming webinar. And the next one will be, like I mentioned earlier during the presentation, the LTD model webinar. This will be presented by Andre Sadej.
When was that webinar going to happen?
Which one?
The second one.
The concussion.
The second one we don't know yet. We don't have the dates yet.
Oh.
But again, there will be we'll promote once we have the date fixed. We'll promote everything.
Is that the webinar for with Andre Sadaj?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just I know it's not too early, but can we have the just taking in account the people in the prairies and west, to maybe have the seminars a little bit later, just because again, prime time training, especially when we start with our training groups, hopefully everything we're still training during that time, that 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, even 11 o'clock in Western means that a lot of coaches, if they have a Saturday class, will be coaching. So if it could be like maybe a little later afternoon, or even, I know there's not a perfect time, but I know that a lot of clubs do early morning or even early afternoon judo trainings.
Okay. I will talk about it.
Yeah.
So I have something to put forth. I've written it down already in the chats. And while I've got a whole bunch of senseis in front of me, I'm just looking for a little bit of input. I'm looking at making my dojo, we start up less than 2 weeks, over age 12, vaccination required. Any thoughts from anybody on that? I work in a school system. I'm an educational assistant. I come from a healthcare background as well, and I've had my shots. And I think this, especially drawing in new members, I think that would be a very much so of a comfort to people who are concerned about the virus at this point. So if anybody else has any thoughts out there, on that, but I've spoke to Stephen Sheffield already, or emailed him from in regards to this, and there was no restrictions putting on there anyhow. I believe we're a very small dojo, and I believe all of my adults are already vaccinated, for this season. So and I have a waiting list for once. So the first time ever, I have a waiting list coming into the dojo, because we were only allowed 15 members, including me, last season. So
From the Invermere Judo Club perspective, we will be requiring to see proof of vaccination in order for all coaches and participants 12 and over.
thank you.
We all have a workforce that we have to go back to work, and we can't be endangering our work life for judo. So that will be our kind of our standpoint from, as coaches. We need to keep safe so that we can continue our livelihood.
I like that aspect. Yes, yes.
I know for us at Peel, we were concerned about whether or not to be asking about vaccinations. But given the way of the dodo bird right now, boards actually are beginning to mandate. I am a retired educator as well. And they're beginning to mandate, notwithstanding the sort of non-committal of the premier, boards are mandating vaccinations. So I think we're inclined to either ask for the vaccination for people over 12, and we've ordered from Shoppers Drug Mart, we've connected because they have a small business program where you can actually get the rapid test kits.
Oh.
And the kits, if you register your club, the kits are actually free. The only thing you're paying for is the $14 or $15 administrative fee to get those kits into your hands. So, while doing the COVID protocol and dojo entry process, we are going to have available those kits if one does not wish to declare whether or not they've been vaccinated.
That's an interesting point of view. I like to hear that. I'd like to hear more on that. Last year was the first year in 30 years of coaching where I actually had to turn kids away because of my return to protocol limited how many kids I could have on the mat. I had to fundamentally change my entire class structure so that I could accommodate a few extra kids. I will not be asking for any proof of vaccination. Our town is very small. The amount of COVID and where we are in Virgin is very small. We do have some frothing at the mouth anti-vaxxers, and requiring a rapid test is not a bad idea. One has to be flexible in terms of if you're going to accept the fact that you had, like I'm fully vaccinated and so is my wife. Now she has MS, so it was a real tough slug to get vaccinated. So the bottom line is that the proof is out there that you should get vaccinated. If you're a Luddite or one of these people who think that it's experimental, well, you can have a rapid test. And I'm not against having rapid tests for those who choose not to follow the rest of society. I'd like to hear more on that information.
I'll maybe just jump in here. It's Katie from Judo BC. In BC, we're waiting to get confirmation. It may be required by our province that the kids all get 12 and up vaccinated. But before that announcement came from our government, we discussed it a lot with all the different sport organizations. And there has been some advice come from people with legal backgrounds that if it's not mandated in your province, you could run into a human rights situation.
Yes.
So if it's not mandated in your province and you decide to do it at the club level, just be aware that you may end up with a human rights complaint or case against you. So it's just a caution, not, I'm really hoping that the government mandates it for kids going to sport 12 and up. They may or may not. I know they're mandating it for other activities, going to restaurants, things like that. So we're crossing our fingers that they do it so that our clubs aren't in a situation where they have a potential human rights issue.
Thank you. I spoke with the health unit in regards to this as well, and she presented the same information. So that's why I'm checking in with Judo Ontario and a whole bunch of knowledgeable people. Anyhow, I volunteered to run my club, and there's no one else to take over. If I'm not there.
We have the exact same advice from our lawyers in the province of Alberta. But the one thing that we are looking at as a provincial team and everything is that a lot of things are going to be third party. So again, Soon it'll be you can't get on a plane unless you're double vaccinated. Soon, you can't go into this facility because unless you're double. So a lot of those issues are going to really shape the way that our provincial team is going to look compared to obviously the club situation. But again, it is a tough question, and really, I think in the next month we're going to have a lot of big answers from the provinces, from each individual province.
This is Steve Sheffield from Judo Ontario. My discussion with our ministry rep from the government was that the province at the moment wasn't mandating clubs to be double vaccinated, but as businesses, each business can come up with their protocol. So I took it as understanding that if a club wanted to require that their members be double vaxxed, they could, but the provincial government wasn't mandating it as of now. But this all could change in the future. We don't know.
Understood. My wife works in healthcare in a nursing home. If I come home with COVID, then she can't go to work for 2 weeks.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I don't know if you have other questions.
I'll just say something. I'm Jonathan Judah from Ontario. This is where small dojos could use some guidance from our provincial bodies and from Judo Canada. I mean, where the government is not mandating vaccines in Ontario, but I feel at risk if I don't ask members to be vaccinated. I don't know what to do about kids under 12. I guess they won't be vaccinated. They cannot be. But over 12, I think I should ask people to be vaccinated. But I don't want to be at risk either. So I guess what I'm saying is if we had some guidance from Judo Canada, some rules from Judo Canada and Judo Ontario, then we could use that as a backup. We could say, well, we're following our governing body's recommendations by asking you to be vaccinated, right? And it ties into our insurance policies as well through Judo Canada. Will we be violating our insurance policies if we don't ask, or if we ask, and we run into trouble because somebody gets COVID? So just a comment, I guess, or if anybody wants to give me some guidance, I'd love to have it, because we're getting back into the dojo September 21st, and we don't have the firm policy on this yet, and we need something to do, some policy.
I know that in our Alberta planning meeting last week, we obviously discussed everything, and we discussed the two different age groups, the 12 and above and the 12 and under that are not vaccinated. We're going to be recommending to our clubs that you have separate coaches for those programs. Again, trying not to connect with the different programs. We know it's not possible for coaches to in some circumstances, not be able to coach two age divisions. So we're asking that again, if you're coaching two age divisions, that that you're changing your judo gi, you're sanitizing and everything before you start coaching the next age group. And then we're trying not to definitely mix those two age categories. So you shouldn't have any under 12s with your over 12s. Again, we're just trying to think about certain ways that we can kind of get through this, and then at the same time respect everybody's rights at the same time. So.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if anyone else want to add something on the subject. I know it's a subject that is difficult at the moment because different restriction, it's different from government to another government. So, well, it's duly noted that it's really an issue at the moment. We're going to see what we can prepare at Judo Canada. Anyway, on my side, that will be all. I don't know if you have any other thing to add. If not, I wish you all, first, I will thank you everyone for taking the time to be part of this webinar. And I will be wishing everyone a nice weekend.